hobby tools on a budget that are actually useful.
You can get a pack of like 12 of these for like £1.
But it starts crumbling and going everywhere.
This won't crumble. This won't crumble.
It's a really good DIY tool, which just saves you loads of time, makes you more efficient.
I think that is probably one of the craziest things in the hobby with like the hobby tax on it.
I wasn't expecting that.
That wasn't it. That's a curveball.
Yeah, these things are great. They're so cheap. You get them in a whole pack of all different sizes.
When I started using it a long time ago, it really helped my painting massively.
Another expense. My budget is going up.
Hello everyone and welcome to Paint Perspective episode 98, sponsored by Everything Airbrush for all your airbrush needs. Check the link in the description. In this episode, we're going to be talking about our favourite budget hobby tools that we like to use with our Warhammer painting, building, accessorising and such.
Tinkering, you would say.
All that works fine. All this and more, of course, hobby hacks, all that good stuff, later in the episode. But first, Paul, I see on the table the new Lord of Poxes.
Yes.
You have painted him.
I know, right?
He looks sick.
I know he does.
I'm just going to say this.
Yeah.
Your painting has been trampolining forward
I know,
at a
right?
pace which
At a pace
which is remarkable, Paul. So I just want to take a moment to just say, well done, because you smashed it.
That's great.
You smashed it in the name of
it's not
the
bad what you
father
can
of
do
Nurgle.
for 2 days.
Yes.
I painted that in 2 days.
Yeah. Rapid, Paul.
Rapid.
You know he's done good because Paul is likes to do the British thing of, bit of a self-dig, make fun of yourself, but he brings this in.
This
he's
time
like, I painted this.
I've done it. Yeah. I did it. You see that? That was me. Yeah.
I didn't even put it in my bag. I carried it by hand all the way here this morning for 20 minutes out on the street.
Don't lie. You're walking up the street going, wow.
He did get to see the journey here.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I hope everyone's in early. And then you weren't here. And I thought, I show George first. I show George. And then
I did a thing.
Look what I did.
Yeah. Well, mate, well done. You smashed it. Yeah. I know. Look, we all knew how much you wanted to paint this model. So again, massive thank you to Games Workshop for sending it to us in advance in the new Nurgle box. I couldn't think of anyone better to paint it than you.
Made my day, made my weekend. That did sitting there painting that. I was so happy to paint it because I was definitely I definitely wanted one.
But you got one.
I definitely, brilliant. And I thought it was a bit suspicious on Friday when you came and asked me if I wanted to paint it, and it hadn't arrived yet. You
like that? You like that Lord of Poxes, don't you, Paul? Yeah. Be good if you painted one, wouldn't it? Oh yeah, it would be. Oh, okay. All right,
yeah. And then about an hour later, it arrived through the door.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think so.
What do you think of the model? How was? Do you want to walk us through how you painted it?
Well, with the green and paintbrushes. It was great. No, it was a awesome model to put together. It was really well sort of sculpted and the virtually zero mold lines, although there is, like you've spotted, there's a couple on the plasma pistol.
Oh, yeah, but there's always a cheeky little mold line.
We can't let you get away with that sort of thing.
And also, I didn't drill the barrel out, which was
heresy. Mind you, fitting heresy for such a chaotic model, but still,
I might just paint a little black circle on it.
Currently got.
Frankly, I'd rather Paul didn't drill the barrel than drill it out with a Bosch drill. So
yeah,
true.
I would.
I'll let you off, Bosch.
Drill it out.
I completely forgot about that.
Get the barrier out.
Actually, where you clip the model, that all those points were hidden by cloaks and other parts of the model. So, cleaning up wise, it was pretty limited. It was pretty
fantastic.
Yeah,
honestly,
it's quite sizable. He's bigger.
He's a big old boy. Yeah,
the backpack is huge.
Yeah, it's massive, isn't it? He's got all of his lunch packed in there.
Yeah, everything. Yeah. Everyone's lunch packed.
He's. I got to say this, Paul. Like, you absolutely smashed this, mate. The line weight on all the highlighting on this is great. So yeah, well, fair play. You've absolutely smashed it. I love the texture on the cloth as well, dude. That looks great. Yeah, or rag, should I say?
Well, I suppose. I mean, I tried to sort of. I thought for this one, like, I know you said we'll go a bit crazy with it, but I thought, well, this is a bit crazy for me because I thought, well, I'll just try and emulate the pictures that I had. From the instruction sheet.
Killed it. Absolutely killed it. Like I mean this sincerely. When you go all in on a model, every time you've gone in on a model. Like, not just I know you're doing some obviously hobby and gaming stuff, etc. But when you go, you've got better and better and better every time, mate. And this is a testament to that. You smashed it, absolutely smashed it, dude. So well done.
Yeah, no, it was one of those models I couldn't stop painting.
I know exactly the feeling. Yeah,
I was really keen to paint it.
When you get a model like that and you're so engaged with it, it's such a good feeling because I feel you paint quicker because you love it.
For sure, yeah. I sort of planned. The plan was to spend about 5 days. Some hours here and there doing it over 5 days.
You couldn't put it down.
But I started Saturday afternoon, about lunchtime, and then I finished it sort of Sunday night.
Cool.
So yeah,
Rapid pull.
about 20 hours, I suppose.
Yeah, that's good,
in
mate.
all,
Honestly,
something like that for that.
that looks fantastic. I love the subtlety and the weathering as well, dude. And the pink on that like fabric that's holding the barrel thing at the front, like it's really nice, mate.
Well, I noticed in the images that from GW that the bottom half of that sort of loincloth thing is sort of a dirty brown. Yeah, and then towards the top is pink.
Yeah.
So there is some newer things in there that sort of I like to sort of try and learn on the fly. It looks great.
Honestly, like it
was good. I really enjoyed it.
How did you do the rust?
Yeah, come on then. Talk to us about rust.
My favourite hobby hack. A bottle of dirty down.
Looks good.
I had that out this morning.
Looks great.
Yeah, that's really great. I thought that was easy, that bit. I thought, you can whack that on there. I did about 3 coats of that.
But all the other weathering, like all the streaking and stuff, like from the rivets and things of verdigris, it's all really...
Is it like so the dirty down rust, is it like a paint that you apply with a brush still, like normal?
You do it, yeah. I just applied it with like an old sort of tatty brush because it's like a thick sludge. And you have to mix it there's a ball bit and you have to mix it for a good... one of my tools that I'll go on to in a minute, you have to sort of get that in there and sort of really... sort of scrape the bottom of it, but and then after I've shaken the bottle a few times, I just use what's in the lid, and then that's just enough. I've got an old scruffy short-haired brush that I just use it for like it's like a stipple. I just sort of stipple it on.
Looks great,
and you can leave that to dry. I don't think I'd recommend putting it on before you varnish it because literally anything will reactivate it and move it around. So
it's right at the end. Then
it's kind of like the last thing you do, yeah. So, but I love painting it. It was great. It was so good.
I can tell. It was fantastic.
It was really
well
good.
done.
Really
Smashed it,
that.
mate.
Yeah. No, but that was great. What a great weekend. Yeah.
Any other hobbying you've been up to, Paul? We're on socials. I know what you're up to.
Yeah. You've seen some of my little social things.
Paul was painting the Poxes with his hands and was painting the kill team with his feet with a brush.
Well, well, it's funny because I'd finished my kill team, and then the idea was this weekend I'd start and perhaps finish Lamarty's because I'd just started that. But then obviously this guy fell in my lap and I thought, Lamarty's, you can wait just 2 more days.
Lamarty's is becoming James's Mordians. It just keeps on getting like kicked further and further away.
Now I'm kind of free. Although
I know that I've said that many a time. Now I'm free.
Don't do it, James.
Now I'm kind of free. I'll sort of start Lamarty's this week and hopefully get him finished. And then concentrate on Iron Skull. Weeks are disappearing.
7 weeks to go, mate.
It's disappearing. But yeah, so I think I finished the kill. By the time this comes out, I would have finished them a week ago. So I think they took me about 8 days, I think, in total to do all 7 of those. Yeah, they weren't too bad.
Enjoyable? You said you was painting them kind of more gaming-esque.
Quickly as possible. Yeah.
What was that like?
I enjoyed that process. It was almost like being a bit free with a paintbrush rather than being really super focused. It was a bit like having a massive canvas and just sort of throwing a whole can of paint over it and just thinking, yep, that'll do. That's a painting. I I wasn't too sure about the finished product though.
Yeah. No, I think you've done all right, mate. I saw the photo. It's good.
Yeah, I mean they're okay. I mean they're perfectly fine for what I intended the use for, which would be tabletop gaming with.
What don't you like about them? Or is it just that style that you don't like?
I think it's just that style, that sort of dry brushed look. They came out. I mean, I could have dry brushed them much brighter reds, but obviously I kept them a bit dark. I mean, overall, it was great. I had great fun painting them. Just dry brushing stuff is great fun. Just whipping the brush around.
Yeah.
Like that. That's great.
Since you don't game, what was the sort of objective for painting them quick and
get them done?
Gaming
just to get them,
style.
Well, yeah, I bought them. They're there, so I didn't want them just sat there. I wanted to get them done because now
basically you got a load of grey shame and you didn't want there to be blue shame as well.
Yeah, well, there's potential there. So I turned those blue plastic miniatures into some blood angels, which was quite nice. And actually, it was a bit of practice really for the occasional sort of edge highlighting and actually transfers. I don't put enough transfers on things, so it was a bit of a sort of a practice at doing that. I'd need much more practice at doing that, but they turned out all right. And they're done now. That's that part of the starter box is done, so I can have a bit more fun doing the
the Pox Lord might need some chums.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I'm sure
that-
you've got some
Yeah, well-
best friends kicking around for
Well,
him.
that's the other half of that set, isn't it? The kill team is the Death Guard.
He'll fit in nicely.
Yeah.
So and I'll probably spend quite a long time painting those because they're all the
great.
heroes and things. So yeah, they'll look good. Hopefully they'll look good.
Yeah, you'll
Just
smash
as
it.
Good. Yeah, we'll get after Iron Skull.
Yeah.
Right, let's push them to after Iron Skull. I'll concentrate on something for Iron Skull first. Otherwise, the weeks will disappear and I won't have painted anything.
Yeah.
And it'll be 2 days before.
Done that in 2 days, you can get
Yeah.
your Iron Skull done in.
Yeah. Although I have got my eye on that new 30k Blood Angels character that they're bringing out.
I know the
I
one
can't
you mean.
remember what his name
One with
is.
a flamer.
He's covered in sort of.
Yeah, I know the way you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's rad.
He's very cool. Looks complicated, but
He'll be fine.
I think he'll be quite a nice little character to paint. But I keep thinking, I've got too much already. Actually, the other day, I've got all the boxes out of stuff for Iron Skull, and I just need to pick one of them now and get on.
Lucky
with it.
dip, mate. That's the best way.
Could do.
Lucky
Yeah.
dip. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Exciting to see what you do.
What if I told you you can easily take your miniature bases to the next level? Well, now you can with the new basing products from Siege Scenics. Siege Scenics is dedicated to helping you create immersive and realistic environments for your miniatures that feel alive and dynamic, whether you're setting the stage for an epic tabletop battle or telling a rich, unfolding story with your competition display. From the warm hues of autumn to the crisp frost of winter, Siege Scenics has you covered with expertly crafted products that capture the ever-changing beauty of nature and bring it straight to your miniatures. To see the full collection and place your order now, head to siegescenics.co.uk or check the link in this episode's description. Okay, our topic for this week, hobby tools on a budget. So, we've spoken about the quote-unquote hobby tax. That is sometimes a phrase used for generic-ish items that then get targeted for Warhammer painters. A little bit of extra slapped on. Sometimes valid, sometimes not, I would say. Sometimes a hobby version of a product can be a lot better. And then sometimes maybe, or even vice versa, sometimes there's like not a hobby version of a product. There's quite a useful thing outside of the hobby that you can bring in. Help you get some better painting done, some better hobbying done.
Things for other hobbies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Creativity and all that good stuff. But budget is, of course, the focus of this episode. So we've done a £100 painting challenge before. That was quite fun. But this is more like specific items that would essentially fit into Joe's £5 hobby rule. Yeah. So these are impulse purchases.
Yeah.
Some of them might be a bit more, but they're not that much
We'll
more.
stretch the rules.
I think
But,
all of mine combined comes to about £2.50, I think.
Nice. That's what we like to see.
I'll use Paul's excess.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're going to save you some money and get you some cool hobby tools that are actually useful.
Yeah.
So this
Hobby
is
tools
what-
that are actually
Yeah.
useful.
Well, these are quite good because some of these are stealth hobby tools. Like you can take them home, and if you don't want anyone to know at home you're buying stuff for hobby, they look like you're getting stuff for the house, which is quite good as well. So
Yeah.
True.
So yeah,
Okay, so I tasked James and Paul to gather up some of their essential goods from kind of your existing hobby setup, rather than like sending you out with a budget to find some random crap.
I don't
Yeah.
need to go out to find random crap.
Just brought it in from home.
James opened the middle drawer, you
Yeah.
know.
Just
Middle?
took it out.
Yeah.
I think we'll do a bit of back and forth. I think.
Let's get Hobby Wimbledon on the go.
Paul, what is your first budget hobby item?
Well, I think my first budget thing, and perhaps my most important one, is this kind of scruffy old sort of Tupperware box. But yes, this is my wet palette. So everyone's, cutting about with their £20-30 pallets. I am definitely on a budget with my hobby stuff at home.
Mate,
so
I'm
Couldn't even spring for the Blitz.
I mean,
No,
I was
this
going to say, I've got you. I've got you covered.
but this had cakes in it. I bought it had cakes. I think this was £2. Had
But-
cakes in it. And I tell you what, this
Were the cakes good?
average.
Ah,
Pallets better than the
Average,
cakes.
but
That's fine.
But the secondary use for the tub,
It's great,
wicked.
mate.
So I just lined the lid with the loo roll and the greaseproof paper, and you're good to go. Brilliant.
It's great.
Good 2 or 3 days worth of wet paints in there.
can we recommend that you upgrade to kitchen paper?
Yeah, I think we can stretch to some
Why?
kitchen
Why do I
paper.
need to go to kitchen paper?
Once you go Blitz, you don't go back.
What-
So,
Hey,
so
toilet roll works just as well.
I'm not. I'm
everyone's
not,
got toilet roll.
Whoa, let's not
I-
start throwing around phrases like
What?
just as well.
Yeah, I'm not on board with that. I'm just gonna.
Well, I don't know. I mean, how would why not? I mean, you want
It's not as absorbent, and it does disintegrate very quickly.
but it's 2-ply. It's
I-
twice.
I
as
couldn't care if
absorbent.
it's 30 ply.
If he folds it, it's 4-ply.
I mean, what would you mean? Is it? I mean, line it with toilet
Right.
roll.
Just get some blitz in your life, and you won't go back. Promise you, Paul. You'll convert. I promise you.
Okay, sure, fine. Another expense. My budget is going up.
You spent £2.50. You got £2.50. You can buy a pack of blitz for that.
Sure, I suppose so. I don't know. I'll give it a go.
Yeah, do it.
So I'm going to give you points for the idea. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Homemade wet palette. I'm on board.
I'm on
O's.
board.
We're on
Exactly.
board.
I'm on board. I'm sailing all day.
If you've got 30 quid for a wet palette, and you're used to using an old tile at home, just
It's 10 times
take
better.
one,
Right.
get an old Tupperware that you've got.
I
in your
agree
drawer.
in
You do
principle.
not need
It's
to
a great
sell.
idea,
You're
Paul.
preaching to the choir.
The execution level leaves a little bit to be desired. I think we
Yeah.
should have, if we'd have upgraded the toilet roll to some kitchen paper, we'd be in
You'd
I don't
business.
see the-
you'd be in
That would have
business.
been a slam dunk, Paul. There would have been no arguments from me.
Well,
right? So you was,
I don't
Paul,
see the problem.
you was almost there.
It works. I don't understand. what
Almost
the
there.
issue-
So I'm going to award you a 7.5.
It's not
7.5,
good, is it? I don't understand it.
Cool.
Well,
James, your rebuttal.
Yeah, so I will undoubtedly open this soiree with a roll or a half-used roll of blitz.
That looks so absorbent.
It is. It's great. Yeah, it's amazing. I would recommend that you use this for painting. It's really good. And
Cheap out on the wet palette,
cheap out,
but
the wet
spend
palette,
the money
spend the money on the
on
blitz.
the kitchen
yeah.
paper.
Yeah, Regina, if you're watching, I would love an endorsement. So just send me. Anyway.
Not sponsored,
Not
but please
sponsored,
sponsor.
but not sponsored, but please sponsor. So that's it. So yeah, that is a given straight away. The other thing, well, I'll go up to the next thing. I mean, I think me and Paul should talk about the thing we have in commonality here, which is the little tool which I gifted to you, and something that I have made myself, which is invaluable for me personally, which is the
What do you call it?
The head rotisserie. Yeah,
Yes, the head
literally.
rotisserie.
I love that you both bought yours.
I know. Yeah, it's great. Literally, like,
This was not scripted, by the
yeah.
way. They both
I-
independently brought them.
I literally made this, and it made my life of painting heads completely easy. So just literally drill some holes into the top, stick some paper clips in there, mitre bond or glue them into the shot glass.
Because that's like a disposable plastic shot glass.
Disposable in true Blue Peter fashion. Here's some I brought earlier. There you go.
But stick it. I mean, corks would do. If you bung them, you got a big fat
Yeah,
cork,
corks will work as well. But
know.
they do. I mean, I'd probably glue them into the cork if I was going to do anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, but then you can just put all your heads on here, drill into the bottom of the heads, do everything.
clips?
Yeah, paper clips. Literally do everything. Like drill into the bottom of the head, put the heads on here, undercoat them on here, airbrush all the skin on, paint them while they're on here. You don't have to touch them at all whatsoever. And then you can literally varnish them on here and then stick them on a model. So it's a really good DIY tool, which again, one shot glass with some paper clips and some super glue, and you made yourself a really useful tool to manage kind of and painting, and especially when you're painting, you're in the zone of painting heads, being able to just turn it and do every step, the same step on all of them at the same time, just saves you loads of time, makes you more efficient, and it's just a really good little tool. So yeah,
my kill team heads on there.
yeah, it's really good. It's a really good little tool.
I would say useful. All right. Solid, dependable tool. I question how many pins you've got in there, James. How are you accessing the back of the heads? It's
Easy.
very, very compacted in
What
there.
do you mean? You just turn them. You
Like
don't
that.
glue them on. You just turn the head.
I would have gone for like 4 pins.
Nah,
max.
you're good. You're good. I mean, okay. I could have, if you really want to get super granular, I could have made the spacing a bit more even. There's a couple that are a bit closer together, but if you have a bigger part, you need more space. So
It's good.
you,
Shot glasses are good.
Yeah,
I'm
100
sure you'll get to it at some point. But they're a
100%.
good multi-use
well,
tool.
might as well jump onto them now then, because for £1 you get 12. That's
Nice.
Poundland. That's a bargain.
Bargain.
I don't like them ones because they crack really easily.
Well, these are quite strong. Actually, they're the bigger, oversized ones. If you can get some in,
Oh, the way they're called down in one.
Yeah. So if you do, I would put one of these inside each other and use like 2 maybe. Like, so if you're scared of cracking it, but these bigger ones, the plastic's so thick on them, you don't normally crack them. If you're holding your model that tight, then I'd be a bit more worried. But
I'm a bit heavy-handed. I was saying to Paul this morning earlier, I go for the death grip
yeah,
on my miniature and my paintbrush.
no.
So there have been some.
Callous.
Later life RSI.
Yeah.
yeah. So
You say that I was joking with Paul because I'm getting this like callus on my fingertip now. It's like
Straining
how hard
your
I grip my
straining
paintbrush.
is never good. But yeah, I really rate shot glasses. I know that there's all. I think model holders. It's all very much a preference, like what people prefer. But I've always used them. I think they're quite cheap. You can. I don't mind rattle canning them or airbrushing them or varnish. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, sometimes when you pay a lot of money for a bougie holder of some form, like, You don't really want to spray it. Maybe if it's a nice wooden one, you probably don't. So again, shot glass.
I feel that.
Shot glass, bit of blue tack. I've used it for a long time. And
they're quite a handy multi-use tool to kind of have in the drawer as well, because if you need to mix up a bit of paint,
100%.
glue.
Well, funny you should talk about mixing paint, Mr. George.
Oh my god, I can't keep up. He keeps
because
Oh, God.
this is part 2 as the vessel returns.
Wow. The vessel.
Now, I've spoken about this in previous episodes, purely because if you use an airbrush, obviously the sort of like the container on the airbrush or the hopper or whatever you want to call it is obviously metallic, and this is like a extra large version. So like if you're mixing a lot of paint for a big session, this is quite good because the paint will behave exactly the same as how it behaves in the hopper or the cup on the airbrush, and it allows you to just put a little bit into the airbrush as and when you're working it. Also, if you want to take a photo before you start getting it messy with paint, it's great non-metallic reference as well for sort of cylinder. So it's a really good little tool. Cheap little purchase from IKEA. 2 of them, I think it's like £2.50.
Are they? I think we had to track this down before because you mentioned this on a previous episode of the podcast. We were trying to find it.
IKEA,
I believe. From IKEA,
they are.
It's for sauces.
Yes,
like a dip,
like a condiment.
I mean, you can put dip in it if you want. But I'd rather put paint. But
you just got to remember what you're doing with it at the time, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But no, they're
any
really
sort
good.
Of metallic vessel.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. And again, like you say about a holder, you can also have it as a holder if you want as well, which is quite good.
Touche.
So that's the perfect size for a 32mm base. That is as well.
Nice. Good to
know. So the vessel returns.
Part 2.
Yeah, part 2. So over to you, Paul. What else have you got?
Slow us back down, Paul, because that was so much information.
I know,
just
grenade had gone off. Right, okay. And a really simple one.
We're not here to do washing up, Paul.
Well, you don't have to do washing up with these bad boys. Well, I suppose you could do. But you can buy, you can get a pack of like 12 of these for like £1.
Yeah. And you're talking about weathering, are you? For weathering or?
For the audio listeners, this is a kitchen sponge.
Yes, I'm holding up a yellow kitchen sponge with a non-scratch surface on the front there. The white one.
This is not the shopping channel.
But these are not only great for doing weathering, where you peel bits off, but I have one sat on top of my painting desk. And when I'm holding stuff that's got bits of paperclip sticks on it.
Oh, right, okay.
I'll just pop it.
That's a good idea.
That's a really good idea. Yeah.
Where am I going to put that? Sponge.
Oh, that's a good idea. I've used floral foam for that, but it starts crumbling and going everywhere.
This won't crumble. You just bang your bit of paperclip straight in there. Wicked.
I wasn't expecting that.
That wasn't it. That's a curve.
No, you actually blown my mind,
That's
Paul.
quite good.
I'll
give you that, Paul. That's
free hobby hack for you. But
so simple, but so good.
I know it. Well, when you're on a budget, you have to think of these things. I
want to test this. Hang on, I'm getting a paperclip.
Well, it's a sponge. It's going to go in there. You doubted my little interlude while George goes off and gets a paperclip.
Right, hang on, I've grabbed the paperclip. I'm doing this live. I'm experiencing this live. Right, it's going in. Yeah, no, it's good.
And it's a satisfying crunch.
That was. I'm going to a bit of ASMR for the listeners. You ready for this?
Ooh.
I'm sold.
Yeah, just do it all the time. Just to get that, and you can put stuff in at an angle, like
Oh, whatever. For airbrushing, that's going to be great.
That's great. Yeah, Paul, I'll give you that. That's a phenomenal tip.
I really thought you was just going to say to rip it up and do some sponge chipping.
No, that's for noobs. this is a pro painting channel. I'll have you know. This is look at that. Excellent.
But I'm actually mind blown. That's actually fantastic.
And
the non-scratch surface doesn't scratch your desk. So
I know,
great.
right?
And if you make a mess,
wash up.
Emergency,
Can I throw in an extra use for this as well? Something I've started doing recently.
Right.
I try to not lick the paintbrush or put the paintbrush in my mouth because it's not good for you, is it? Let's be honest with ourselves, right? But a bit of sponge that's wet serve the same job. If you've got a paintbrush that you've just rinsed out and you want to just sort of moisten the bristles, refine the point, just quick wipe on a bit of wet
very
sponge.
Good. I'll give you that.
Yeah. So you just got this all-purpose little brick of yellow joy on your desk.
It's so cheap. Because I've normally got like my paper clips literally sellotaped to a paint pot sometimes for a handle. And so when I want to take them out, just bang. If I need the paint that I've sellotaped it to,
that's really good.
I've always got one.
I've never seen anyone do that, and that's fantastic. Yeah. I'll give you that.
Cocktail sticks, anything will go in there virtually.
Paul,
yeah,
I award you a 9 out of 10.
I don't understand this. What's
I've got to leave room. I've got to leave room because I don't know what's coming next, Paul.
got to respite or something, I suppose. The Big Ten.
But James, I will say you've got a lot to live up to with this next one.
That's a good one. It's like all this whole episode is just hacks, isn't it? Yeah.
Big news, some huge updates have arrived to the Siege Studios Patreon to give you brand new perks and includes even more bonus content. Our refreshed tiers include extended ad-free episodes of this podcast, including our new post show, extended masterclass video tutorials with bonus tips and techniques, invitations to hobby hangouts with us, exclusive Discord channels, and of course, instant access to hundreds of easy-to-follow, step-by-step PDF tutorials updated every single month. And you can even get dedicated video feedback of your miniatures with our critique clinic, so you'll always know what skills you need to improve next. So what are you waiting for? Take the next leap in miniature painting and improve your skills for the same price as just a few pots of paint. Head to patreon.com/Siege Studios to learn more.
Okay. Well, that's a difficult one to follow because
I know,
that's
right?
actually very, very good.
Yeah.
I'll give that. You should say that to the
How
end,
do you
Paul.
feel? No, well, just look at this sponge.
It's all down here from then.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty
he's got, yeah. So next for me is going to be something to improve consistency and save you time over a longer period of time. So I'm not a big condiment man. I'm not a big fan of ketchup or mayonnaise or anything like that.
That's why you use the bowls for everything.
I know,
else.
exactly.
That's why his dip vessel was so unused.
Fetch me the vessel.
Yeah. So I am a big fan of a ketchup bottle.
Right.
Because when you're painting large batches of miniatures, especially if you're making mixes, maybe if you're not, if you're just using a lot of a paint, especially if you're airbrushing, the time you spend mixing up one small batch to use and you have to go and make it again and et cetera, et cetera. If you add up all those little,
you might as well make one.
You might as well make one big batch. And ketchup bottles are really good because
it's like a XXXXXL dropper bottle.
Exactly, yeah. George will approve it. Maybe I'll get a 10 for this one because it's
well,
dropper bottle.
So.
No, probably not.
got a way to go.
But yeah, essentially I use these all the time. So first from the get-go, I've got 3 of these at home, each for different varnish. So satin, matte and gloss. I make a big batch of each of those up. So I've got those ready in hand to go when I'm varnishing. I'll also make these up for paints that I want to use a lot of. So like all the colours that I normally use, like red when I'm doing Blood Angels or purple when I'm doing the Studio Hawk Lords or whatever the case may be, like Immordians, all of them. I've each got one of these and you just stick a label on it, put what army or it's even the stage of like the paint that it is. It's the first highlight, second highlight, whatever. And you can make quite a lot of these as well. Once you've made it and it's full up and you've done like obviously whatever dilution ratio you want to do for your paint, a bit of gaffer tape just to seal that as well. So then that way the air can't get in there. That also helps quite nicely. And then like the one thing I would say with this is just it's really helpful to then for consistency purposes. You might leave it there for if you've done a really good mix of thinner and paint, that will last a long time. I know I've mentioned fridges before, but if you stick it in the fridge.
Don't put it in the fridge.
You can put it in the fridge.
Don't put it in
brown
the fridge.
sauce.
You can put it in the fridge. You can put it in the fridge.
Please label it. Please label it appropriately.
And it will last for ages, like absolutely ages. And then all you do is you get it out, stick it on the vortex, or give it a good shake for like a couple of minutes or so. It's good to go. And it means that that paint that you've diluted for all the previous phases will be exactly the same and consistent when you add more to your army, if that makes sense. And yeah, I literally go through loads of these per month or per year. Like I literally will make one up, and like it's just so much the time that you spend just making one big batch saves you loads of ag and in the long run as well. And if a paint company changes the paint and you've made a big batch of it,
you hear that, Vallejo?
You'll have that for a long time. So I really recommend ketchup bottles. Really cheap off of all the places that you can get stuff really cheap. You know, and to use them to make up. You know, value your time and just invest a bit of time into making a big batch that you can use long term, and it will serve you better.
Much like Paul's wet palette.
Yes,
I feel like you had the idea, James.
Yes,
the idea is there. I agree with all the principles. I'm gonna critique slightly the size of said ketchup bottle.
You can get bigger ones, don't worry.
No, so you're going the wrong direction here.
No, a smaller one.
You're going to need quite a lot of paint.
Yeah, buy. You're doing a big army, buy like 4 or 5 pots of paint, put it in there with thinner, job done. Never need to buy that paint again, do you?
Yeah, I guess so. But then if you need like, I don't know. It's always pre-thinned.
This is really
it's always pre-thinned.
Yeah, but this is for airbrushing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be using this on my wet palette.
Right. Okay.
It's for airbrushing,
Okay.
getting the main colour on, or even varnishing, or even if you're doing more of a volumetric.
I feel like one of the big dropper bottles.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like
I've got bigger ones.
The
don't
20,
worry.
30 mil ones.
Nah.
I feel like that would have been adequate.
This will do your army and some. So, and I've got bigger ones. So, yeah.
How do you argue them?
I have actually got one of those, and I have clean water in it. So if I want to make a wash, I put a couple of drips from it on my palette to make it clean. But don't give him another point for that. Just,
It's all right.
mark him up.
I'll accept a 9 for that. It's fine.
No, nine's way.
No, it's
way
not.
too overrated.
We're not talking sponge level with that.
It's not the sponge, James. It's not the sponge.
You've got the vessel. I've got the sponge.
I would say if that was a extra large dropper bottle, I'd have been more keen.
No.
You know, I love a dropper bottle.
No, you don't.
I feel like this is like
You can't paint an army with a
it's
dropper
just a
bottle.
sauce bottle with
You
paint
can't.
in it.
You can't paint an army with a dropper bottle.
ingenuity. Yes. Budget. Yes.
The
Ticks all the
idea's there.
boxes. What are you on about?
Execution.
I guess so. 7.5.
No, come
my final offer.
Oh,
No,
that's
it's
terrible.
got to be an 8.
So
8 as a
sad.
minimum. 8 as a minimum.
Sadness
7.5.
over there.
Nah,
So
I'm not
bitter.
accepting that. I'm not accepting.
Paul, what you got?
Well, I've got some makeup brushes
Good man.
that I like to use for dry brushing. People like to dry brush their faces different colours. So
Yeah.
I figured these would be good for dry brushing models, right? And they are. They're great.
Have you been painting some blood angels by any chance with those?
Well, yeah, I mean, a little bit pink, little bit reddish on the top there, aren't
Yeah.
they? But yeah, these things are great. They're so cheap. You get them in you get them in a whole pack of all different sizes, and like even if you just use them for 2 or 3 times before the hairs fall, drop out because they're not really designed for
Painting.
acrylic
Yeah.
paint.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can get rid of them or use them for terrain or whatever. But they're quite nice and soft.
Yeah,
They're just generally quite really good for
I've
for
used
dry
quite a
brushing.
few of those. They're really good. Yeah.
And I got some really a really big fat one. I mean, I don't know what you're dry brushing on your
Model
face with that
duster.
one. Yeah, basically, and
Model
that's
duster.
pretty good for doing bases and terrain with. Getting
Definitely.
it done quick.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very good.
I like that.
9.
You can't self-award. I also like those for when you've finished the cleanup of a model, especially if you've been sanding it. Sometimes there's a lot of like little dust and particulate bits of plastic in there. I like to use one of the smaller ones to kind of get in all the crevices of the model, give it a clean out before you prime, because you don't want any dust on there to be like sealed in with primer, because it's kind of
That's
locked
not a
in
good
by that
idea.
point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
quite useful for that.
Little dusters. Yeah.
I would say actually on a
Very
bit of a
good.
tangent, I've kind of circled back a little bit to like, old school dry brushes, just the flat bristle
The harder
brushes.
type brushes.
Yeah, I've kind of circled back to
Mm.
them a little bit in
Yeah, I've got
recent
one of
weeks.
those.
Not really necessarily intentionally. What I've done was I bought a big pack of synthetic brushes for like glue when I'm like gluing
Oh,
bases and
okay.
stuff.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't bought any in ages, and I was like, I need to get some new ones because they were absolutely annihilated. And I finally sort of restocked reluctantly.
Yeah.
And it came with some big flat ones. And I don't know why, I just thought to myself, like, oh, I'm just going to quickly try like dry brushing the base with one of the big flat ones, because it'd been a while, because I always used makeup brushes like you've got brought with you. I kind of circled back and tried using one of the big flat ones, and I kind of preferred it.
I think you mentioned glue there, putting stuff on with glue. I think that is probably one of the craziest things in the hobby, with like the hobby tax on it. PVA glue. If you can buy a little bottle of PVA glue for the hobby, and it will cost you 5 times the amount as a normal. So
I use wood glue. I use predominantly wood glue.
Yeah, I
well,
like
it's
to
just
use wood
PVA
glue.
glue.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just PVA. So I've got like a bottle, a litre bottle of just kids PVA, and it was like 60p, I think. It's lasted for years. I mean, you're only using little drops of it.
Yeah.
It's lasted for such a long time. I did just decant it into a smaller dropper bottle as I need it. And
I'm sure someone in the comments will correct me and tell me I'm wrong, but I've found that PVA glue generally I find to be a bit too thin and watery, and sometimes not as strong. I quite like using wood glue now, because you can buy like similarly a big container of it.
Yeah.
Not quite as cheap. Don't get me wrong, it's not as cheap, but I feel like it's really thick.
Yeah.
It's kind of like paint. You know how you want paint to be quite thick in the bottle, so that you've got kind of the choice of how much to dilute
I mean, you
it.
can. Even
Similarly
if
with that glue.
slightly thinner stuff, you can leave it out in the air for a little bit before you use it. That'll sort of thicken it up just naturally, just by the water evaporating from it, and then you can use it. But no, that's anyway. Back to the brushes. What was the score for that?
It's a really good one,
It is, isn't it?
but
Yeah,
it's one I've heard before many times. It's one I've heard
It is,
before
yeah.
many times. So I'm going to have to deduct some creativity points from you, Paul, I'm
Well,
afraid.
Sorry about
But I would say that is a solid 6 out of 10.
6. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I'll tell you
This,
what.
I don't know what this scoring's all
Absolute
about. It's rubbish,
taskmaster,
isn't
isn't
it?
he? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's up the ante. So for me, this is something that when I started using it a long time ago, it really helped my painting massively. In sort of like helping confirm things for me before I put it on like the model, and I think it's something that like we will all have access to. And really, it's I say the cheapest. It's the thing you probably can get for next to nothing. All right, okay, because you already have one, undoubtedly. All right, and that is a honking sized base. All right,
But
okay,
yeah.
Obviously, it's a base. That's the obvious thing. Okay, what I actually recommend that you do with it though is use it as a test palette for paints that you are trying for the first time, or if you want to check consistency before putting it on the model. One of the biggest apprehensions that many painters have is the consistency correct, or is it going to go on okay, or any of that kind of stuff. So what I would recommend that you do, I haven't done it on this one, but is sand half of it. So literally you could get yourself like an emery board, which I'll talk about in a minute. And you can just literally run this over and smooth half of it so that you have half of it that's smooth and half of it that's got the tiny little bit of texture that the bases come with. And what that will do for you is it will just give you a really good surface to test paint and its consistency, its behavior, its finished property. It will help you to learn that paint in its inherent behavioral characteristics really, really well. Is it matte? Is it gloss? Is it satin? Is it got a high dilution spectrum, as in like, is it quite thick and you have to really reduce it down to get a good consistency for base coating? You can test your glazes on here. Like you could even spray half of it white and black so that you've got different colors on there.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Like it's we've all got one of these kicking around. If we've got bits boxes, we'll have a spare base of some sort, for a miniature. And if you don't, like you could.
If you've not got one, a normal size like 30 or 40 mil base is going to do the same thing.
It will.
Obviously, it's a lot smaller.
Yeah.
But in principle, you probably, if you've likely got some of those spare, but not a big one. I would say as a plan B though, you can buy just like A4 sheets of plastic card.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. The only thing that plastic card won't have is you can get some textured like brickwork kind of plastic card.
It's going to be the smooth
But
stuff.
I would recommend. But the good thing
you can prime it though.
You could, yeah. The good thing with the base is it does have a little bit of texture on it because obviously it's designed for the models to stick to it.
Both sides of it.
Yeah, you could very much so. But like having this as like literally on my desk like a test palette, and like again, you go out, you buy yourself your favorite model that cost you X whatever, and you just don't want to put some paint on it yet because you're not sure if that consists. It's a great anti-fear. I always talk about fear, the acronym false expectations appearing real. It's really good to use this to get rid of that fear and test the paint before you then paint it on the model. And again, like I know it's just a base, but it's a really good quick check for you to give you that confidence to go, cool, okay, that's good. That's how it's going to behave. I'll put that on the model. And it just really helps massively.
And providing you don't absolutely annihilate it, you can still use it.
Well, you can reprime it. Just literally once it's covered with paint, reprime it, go again,
Or even use it like on the actual model. Say you've bought like a big flyer or something that comes with the base.
Oh yeah, you can then just literally just get your knight on there and
ditch the flyer and keep the base.
Yeah, exactly. So I would recommend that you start using a plastic surface, preferably a base, as a test palette. Give you the confidence. Yeah,
nice. I like that one. You know what I'd call that? I'd call that 7 out of 10.
I'll take that. That's quite good for a base. I'll take that.
Just for a base. Yeah.
If you're a miniature painter, you'll know how important it is to have the right tools for the hobby. But it doesn't matter what brushes or paints you have if you can't see what you're doing in the first place. If you want to improve your painting, contorting yourself under a small, repurposed lamp from around the house, giving yourself a backache and straining your eyes just isn't going to cut it. That's why one of the biggest upgrades I've ever made to my painting setup was my Onyx painting lamp from Native Lighting. Its articulating arm allows me to sit in the perfect painting position for those long hobby sessions, and its super bright 2200 lumen, dimmable LEDs cast soft and diffused light on my models without any harsh shadows. As someone with a very small hobby space, by far my favourite feature is its adjustable mounting clamp, which attaches to the side of my desk, maximising my free workspace. And its daylight colour balance temperature of 6500K gives you the confidence that colours you are painting are accurate and your miniatures will pop on the tabletop. To upgrade your setup to the equipment we rely on here at Siege Studios, head to the link in this episode's description or go to siegestudios.co.uk/shop.
What's this pink egg thing? Come on.
Well, that's just as another makeup product.
Yeah.
That I don't know, clowns like when they put their white makeup on.
Yeah.
I use one of these.
Yeah.
I've seen the films. I've seen them doing.
Can I chime in here? It's called a beauty blender.
George would know, wouldn't he? Yeah. A beauty blender. Well, I didn't know that. But yeah, these are great for. It's a bit on par with like dry brushing.
Is it for? I was going to ask. Is it for weathering or is it for like?
Well, you can do. Well, I think for weathering, I think it's too smooth for
Maybe,
weathering.
yeah, maybe it doesn't have as much texture.
But I mean, you can pull these apart. They pull apart quite nicely, so you can make smaller chunks out of it. But it's a bit like it's a bit more sort of towards the dry brushing where you can just really quickly, without kind of getting the bristles sort of effect when you're dry brushing. It's a little bit more on the smooth side for that.
I've seen in recent weeks, in particular, lots of people using these to actually apply paint to miniatures.
Yeah.
So say you've got a, that kind of like overbrush stippling, slap choppy kind of stuff. I've seen people literally just get a primed model and then getting the color that they want, applying it kind of like a dry brush, so getting the paint on the tip of this sort of point, removing a lot of the excess, and then
Stippling.
literally on a miniature. It's not about stippling because it's quite sort of fine sponge anyway.
Yeah.
You can literally just apply paint like onto some of the larger areas, and you're kind of getting like a pre-shade like straight onto the model.
Okay.
Because the sponge, as it sort of conforms to the shape,
Yeah.
it won't get into recesses.
Oh, okay.
So you're kind of establishing like that mid-tone sort of thing
That's quite
all
good.
over the miniature really, really quickly,
Yeah,
which could be
that's
useful for a gaming army. I know they do some smaller versions of this as
They
well.
do, yeah.
Like, sort of the size of like a...
Do they do those on the end of sticks as well? I'm sure I've seen like things like that before. Like it's almost like a brush, but it's got that on the end. Am I going mad?
Potentially.
I don't know, that might
I
be a
know
bit
what you mean.
weird.
They
Yeah,
are they're makeup removers, I believe.
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen something
I
similar.
don't know how
to
you
that.
do that. If that was on a stick.
No, they're on like a lolly stick.
That's it. Yeah.
They're flat pull. They're not an egg shape.
Yeah. There you go.
Thank you for that demonstration.
You're welcome. Reminds me of my next tool.
Okay.
Hang on.
What have you got? What have you got next, Paul?
Well, this is my knitting paraphernalia that I seem to use.
I did
quite
see that, and
often in the hobby.
I did wonder why you brought a knitting needle.
Well, this is a great just general tool for. This is I use this sometimes as well for because obviously when I'm spraying stuff, I use blue tack.
Yeah.
To cover up areas, and this is good for gouging out the blue tack.
Oh right,
and
okay.
stuff like that.
Do you know what that mod also be good for? Getting the gunk out of the pots as well.
Well, that's what I mean. I use this as well for like the dirty down rust, stirring stuff, and getting digging out the lids and all. There's so many uses for a little pokey stick like this. It's got 2 pointy ends, so you potential for two things at once. Maybe not, but it's good for sculpting as well. I can get bits of green stuff into crevices and things, and also squishing stuff into gaps and things. So I kind of like it.
Fair. Don't use it for knitting then.
No, I can't. Yeah, I can't knit.
Okay.
I don't mind using the products for my own nefarious purposes, such as spraying or like the loom. I didn't bring the loom in, but obviously everyone knows the loom.
The loom now.
There's a theme of knitting paraphernalia with you and your hobby tool.
Sometimes if a tool,
it's almost suspicious.
Well, if I think, I could use that, then why not?
Yeah,
that could be used repurposed for my own hobby.
I'll tell you what, Paul. I like this because I've advocated for an airbrush needle.
Yeah, you have.
For all of the reasons that you've said you like this. However, one, this won't poke you because it's not. It's a bit blunter than an airbrush needle.
It's not super sharp.
And two, bit thicker, so easier to hold in the hand.
Yeah, true.
And then also on top of that, I presume this is miles cheaper than an airbrush needle.
I would. Yeah, I mean, I would probably pence. I would imagine.
Therefore,
let's say 10p.
Therefore,
bargain.
I would say this has earned itself an 8 out of 10.
I like it.
8 out of 10.
That's good. That's good. It's always the little things.
Okay.
Right? You know how sometimes you're like, this is like very usable. This would get used a lot. It's not very exciting. It's not particularly.
No, you're right. Actually,
it's underrated.
Probably, yeah,
it's like one of those things where you just think, I just need. You just grab it and you.
That's getting used like 5 or 6 times a hobby session.
Yeah,
it's not very novel, but it's very useful.
It's not flashy. It's not got lights on or any batteries or anything like that. But it's just. I need that. Bosh, job done.
The blue tack thing's really important as well because blue tack's really nice for temporary sub assemblies or like holding things to bases and whatnot. But you need to compact it sometimes, or you need to get it like out of the way.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you're using it for masking for like the airbrush use, like some camouflage patterns or something, shaping it is going to be difficult with kind of anything else. I suppose you could use like a toothpick or something.
Yeah, you could
do a similar job. But I like it. Reusable.
It's
strong.
It's
dependable.
Yeah,
8 out of 10.
Bit like me. Definitely a 9 out of 10. Then.
I'm gonna save the last two because they're kind of affiliated a little bit. They're all to do with airbrushing. But the next thing I'm gonna go on is the thing that I really like a lot. And there's two different versions of this that I like. I brought one I maybe haven't spoken about as much. So I always go on about Tamiya sanding foam.
People ask us about the sanding foam so much. It's also in the recommended products. There's a link in the description. It's an Element Games affiliate link, and it's like all of the stuff we mentioned on the podcast. There's a link there. It has it all in one place.
Everything we recommend pretty much that we can is there. So check it out. But now I'm not 100% sure on the pronunciation of the name, so I'm going to say Display, which I believe it is Display, which I think is correct. But Display are another manufacturer of sanding foam sticks.
I think they're like a general hobby company. I think they do a lot of like Gundam stuff.
For Gundam, yeah, they're great. And you get two different sets. So you get two sets here, and this one goes from 180 grit up to 800, which I absolutely love, and I'll pull some out in a minute and show you. And then you've got another one which is 1,000 up to 2,500. So they are like, you get really broad scope of different grits for use. But the thing I actually really like about them, I'll pull out I use a lot of 800.
I do like the container as well.
Yeah, I do. It is a nice. Oh, do you know what? I was going to need your knitting needle to get it out. But the thing I like about them, which is something that Tamiya sanding foam is good. It's very soft, I find, and cutting it, you can blunt your knife and all that kind of stuff when you're cutting it. The Display sticks, I mean, these are used, as you can see.
They're pre-cut.
They're pre-cut, and also when you look at the thicknesses of them, they come in different thicknesses. So you get like thinner ones, you get thicker ones.
But that's of the same grit.
Same grit, different thickness, and that does help with access for certain areas, which I really like. And again, 800 is like my favorite grit. 600, you can't get a Tamiya sanding foam in 800. You can only get 600
or 1,000
or 1,000. And I sometimes find that 800 is like the sweet spot. And I really love the Display ones. And again, because the backing is a little bit firmer, if you want to cut a piece, it cuts a bit better, or some scissors, it will cut a bit better. And I've been finding I've been using these a bit more. I still use Tamiya sanding foam, but I've been using these a little bit more than I've been using the Tamiya of recent. But again, I just really like the fact that they come in different thicknesses, because sometimes I'll be using the Tamiya sanding foam, and all the foams, the grits are obviously all different, but the thickness of the foam is all consistent through all of them. And if you've got a really like tiny little area you need to get into, the Displays being thinner in some cases just really helps with that. And I really do genuinely like them that much for using it. And I've got both sets, and they're a little bit, I don't want to say pricey. They're about £9 for a set. So you get
quite a lot though.
You get both sets. You get.
I would say that you get an equivalent amount of sanding sponge as you would if you purchased because I think the Tamiya ones are like £3 or £4 each.
Yeah.
So if you bought a couple of those, you probably have about the same.
I think you get more value buying
this
than buying a couple of packs of sanding foam. The sanding foam is like the fact it's so flexible and so workable is really good. However, sometimes you need something that's a bit firmer to have a better grip on it than maybe is a little bit thinner, just so you can get it in like an area of detail on the model. I
think in an ideal world, you could kind of have both. They're a bit of a complement to each other.
It literally, as I'm working, I'll be like, is that a job for Tamiya or is that a job for Display? And I know it sounds silly, but that is literally the way I think about it. Like, do I need something that's a bit firmer, like that gives me better access, or like,
if it's a flat surface, as an example,
I'd
probably be leaning towards.
I'll Tamiya quite a bit on flat surfaces, whereas this is like more sometimes for curved, and I do use a Tamiya for curved as well. Sometimes it really varies on the situation and circumstance. As a quick little budget add-on to that, and I showed it earlier, but I absolutely love and I'm a big fan of emery boards, and these are literally just your emery boards for doing your nails. All right, okay. I use them all the time for like stubborn bits of like sprue, or like if I'm working
tank tracks.
If I'm using, do you know what I mean? If you're doing tank tracks, I don't want to be a tank track. You'll obliterate or you'll wear down the foam quite quickly. You need something a bit more Rocky Balboa for that, and this is where the old emery board comes in. And you can get them in different grits as well. You can get them in like
they're double-sided. A lot of them
are double-sided as well. Yeah, so you get a lot of use out of them, and they're really cheap, like really really cheap to get like a pack of like 50 or 60 or whatever. But the good thing with these, I find, is that once you've used them, they have quite a long longevity of life. And what I mean by that is that at first, if they've got quite a high grit on them, you'll be able to use them on most stubborn things, and then as they sort of like start to perish, as in like the how much grit they've got on them,
sort of wear down a bit.
They actually you can use them for polishing and on softer stuff, because they do still have a bit of abrasion, but not as much as when you first buy them. But literally a pack of like 50 of these is cheap as chips, literally. So I really would recommend using these as well. And I use these a lot on metals as well. So when I do metals,
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
the metals will absolutely devastate.
Yeah, clog that up.
Yeah, your sanding foam. Whereas this will take on a metal model or even a resin model quite.
I imagine if you've got quite a sizable resin model in particular as well.
These are great. Yeah.
Good luck putting a fire raptor together with some of that little sanded sponge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want to use one of these. I use these all the time, and I really recommend them. And yeah, they're good. So yeah, that's my next little addition. I've got 2 more left, but have you got anything else, Paul? You got some
hang on,
other
I've got to do the
implements?
rating, James.
Oh, hang on, the
Yeah,
rating.
you got to
Okay,
get your 4 out of 10.
Okay.
No. Actually, because much like the knitting needle, that's one that's,
Yeah.
said a lot, all right, but it's very, very usable. It's very, very usable. It's not super exciting, but that's you're using that every hobby session.
100%.
So I'm going to award you, James, a 9 out of 10.
Get in. There we go.
Wow.
There we go.
Sponge level.
There we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's next?
Well, I think the humble toothbrush is
I
quite
like a toothbrush.
quite a
hobby.
good little hobby tool. I mean, you can keep one of your old ones if you want to, but I mean, they're cheap enough in a pack. You go to your local cheap shop and you get them in packs of 4 for about £1, can't you? Now they're so cheap. But I mean, they're pretty good for if you trying to do effects on things like blood spatter or terrain or stippling on even on terrain and things like that.
Yeah,
So,
they are good. Yeah.
they're pretty good. That's quite a nice little tool. Just nice and cheap and got plenty of uses.
So have you ever sprayed a model and the can's not been mixed properly and you get like a rougher kind of finish on the surface of the model?
That like bubbly kind of grainy
No.
Yeah,
texture.
like a grainy texture.
No,
Yeah.
I shape my cans.
Okay. Well, it happens all the time. Like if you
Cold weather.
cold weather,
weather.
yeah. If you do
Oh.
a little
Yeah.
hack, use a toothbrush to just buff the model, and it gets rid of the roughness. You use that all over the
Nice.
model. Just literally just buff it with that.
I'm going to take the bait. James actually said on a previous podcast to use an electric toothbrush
Whoa.
I prefer the power of electricity.
because James
Yeah.
just loves to electrify any
Yeah.
hobby
Yeah.
tool.
Yeah,
I
I'm surprised
prefer-
these sanding sponges aren't electric.
Oh, if I could get this on the end of Barry, I'd be using it all day long.
You could get an orbital sander.
Yeah, I know. Don't tell me that.
You could do.
Don't tell me that. Yeah,
you could do.
yeah.
You know what? You know what you could do? That big base that you got there, that flyer base. Tell you
Yeah.
what, a mouse sander would just take that.
Yeah.
Take that down in
Don't
seconds.
Set it down a
don't
tree,
be telling me
wouldn't
that.
it?
You know I love a power tool.
Yeah.
But
good
yeah,
little tool, though.
I really rate a toothbrush. There's a lot of good uses for it.
Wisdom. Just
Oh,
throwing it out there.
Do you relate to that, Paul? Do you?
Well, it's just as an older person, just consider myself pretty wise.
They're quite good for in stripping models.
Yeah, they're great.
Getting all
Yeah,
the paint
Yeah.
off.
yeah. If you get a good sort of
You need
tough bristle.
Tough tasks I find for the
Yeah.
toothbrush usually.
Yeah.
Also, I like if you've got a resin model, cleaning off all of the,
Yeah,
the
the
mold
spurs.
stuff before you
yeah, it's quite good.
before you assemble. Sometimes even, or when you're finished and you're about to paint, just giving a resin model a quick scrub in the sink with
Soapy
just some
bar.
soapy
Yeah.
water
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
toothbrush. Get all that mold. That greasy.
Shouldn't you be doing that
mold
with
release on it.
plastic models as well? Really?
What's that?
Washing them off. Before
I
you
don't
build them.
normally.
I've
wash
never
them.
done it.
I
I know
never
a
have.
lot of the scale model people are quite into that. I don't know if
Yeah.
it just depends on who made the model kit because sometimes you get them and they are kind of greasy. But a GW, I don't really.
I don't
find
really
that
I've
have
always
that
hard.
been.
problem.
It's a bit of, you should wash it with warm soapy one. I don't think I've ever ever done it once.
Do you think that's one of those like old? That's one of those bits of knowledge that was useful for like Airfix kits like 30 years ago, but maybe isn't as
kind of
applicable anymore.
filters down and it's not really relevant anymore?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never
dunno.
never done that.
Good for
Yeah.
resin though, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even like 3D printed stuff. and all
Mm.
Yeah.
that. Tell you what, Paul. I know we're going to get to more dental products in a moment, but I would say,
Oh yeah.
unfortunately, that's the least exciting of the list so far.
Oh no, Paul, it's going to
I'm
be a
going
low
to
one.
have to award
Devastating.
you a 3 out of 10.
What? 3
I don't
out of 10.
understand- That's
Oh,
ridiculous. I
brutal.
don't understand what's
It's
going
brutal. Is that toothbrush on your gums?
Just the
You're like-
sponge, and I've peaked too early. Should have gone in the sponge last.
Should have saved sponge till last,
know.
mate. I did say.
Old square pants.
James,
Well-
you like brushing your teeth?
I like brushing my teeth. Yes, I've got a couple of things. Before we get onto the final dental product that I have, I do want to throw into the
Oh, we're
mix.
swerving, are we?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're doing a bit of a swerve.
Detour.
Yeah, a little bit of a detour. I really love I don't know if it's Tamiya. I can't remember the
It's Tamiya.
manufacturer. It's Tamiya. I love the Tamiya. There's various different widths and etc. like dimensions of or diameter.
Mm.
I've never known
types.
one company to make so many types of tape.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you get loads of different diameters. But I absolutely love the Tamiya masking tape for models. I've never had a problem with it pulling paint off. I rate this massively.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, if you want to mask stuff up, I mean, I will.
You don't know good masking tape until
you
tried
try
the Tamiya
this. Yeah,
stuff.
I will either use this to like mask an area, or I'll use the other thing that I've done in hobby hacks before, which is use cling film. Like if I don't want to stick like tape onto the model, but in all other situations, I'm not using cling film. I'm using Tamiya tape. It's just so good. Like I've never had a problem with it.
No bleed.
No bleed. Yeah, it's just fantastic.
They have the flexible tape as well. So if you're getting around like curved areas and stuff, it works its way around.
Yeah,
really
I think if you're going to invest a little bit, I know it's just tape at the end of the day, but if you're going to invest a bit,
it's a little bit expensive, but
this is where to put it, because if you really want to master something, this is like just fantastic.
I've seen people on
it lasts ages as well.
Yeah, I mean these rolls are really old. Like, I've had them a long time. So
I've seen people masking up areas for making checkered patterns and things with it on
100%. If you're doing some like, even like Tamiya Warriors or something, they do really, really narrow ones.
Yeah.
You can mask like hazard stripes and stuff on a shoulder pad. You can definitely do that.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're really, really like fine quality. So you don't get like any, you're expecting to peel it off and have to do a bit of cleanup. If you apply it nicely, like it will leave a really nice, satisfying peel.
It's
do a really nice job. Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's really great.
I have to get some.
Yeah.
Some really thin.
Go on then, swerve us background, James.
Right.
That you don't get a score for that. That's an extra.
That's fine. I don't mind.
No, that was like a bonus product.
That's a bonus product. Right. Last one. Going back to the dental game.
Yeah.
So.
Dental game.
Yeah. So.
James Otero, DDS.
Yeah. So. I am only familiar with Harder and Steenbeck airbrushes, and they have in the front end the nozzle. Okay, and that is a little bit of a tricky little thing to clean. You can be very careful with a needle sometimes, just for the very end of it. You can also get those like pipe cleaner things that you can clean airbrushes with, but they're not normally
small enough to get through the nozzle.
The smallest one is kind of small enough, but the other thing is that the nylon that they're made out of is really like abrasive and really harsh. It's not designed to be used in like a delicate area, but these are interdental brushes, which are designed to be used in between your teeth, so in the gaps in your teeth, and go.
They're like floss brushes.
Floss brushes, yeah, they're really good. They come in different sizes. So this is 0.45.
I didn't know they came in sizes.
And this is 0.7. Yes, they do.
Oh, okay.
They come in different sizes, distinguished by the color.
Yeah.
The other good thing, Joe's
also by wisdom.
Yeah, by wisdom. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wise dental products.
The other thing I was going to say as well, really cheap. So we're talking like, I think it's about 30 pence a pack for these. I think
sub £1 at least.
Yeah, sub £1. Joe's not on the show today. However, he did mention previously in the past he loses his brush protectors. You do get a free brush protector per pack as well.
Stop it.
Yes, you do. Yeah, you do. You get a little. As you can see, I've already used this one.
Yeah.
So you do get a little brush protector in the pack as well, which is quite good.
That's good for your paintbrush.
It's to protect the brush of this, but it goes over a paintbrush like a glove. So really, really good. And I use that to clean the nozzle on my airbrush all the time. So I'll take the nozzle out and I'll use that. And it can work down the barrel or down the middle of the airbrush. You can put it in from both ends and basically clean both sides quite effectively with it as well. I'd probably do that more so with the 0.7, so the bigger one. The other thing they're really good for, and this will be a hack that Georgie will absolutely love because he's a connoisseur of a dropper bottle. The thing I hate about dropper bottles is that they do clog, as in the little bit. This is where your 0.45 comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And when you've absolutely wrecked it, you're cleaning your airbrush, you can then just straighten it like a pipe cleaner, and then that can go down the hole on the dropper bottle and unblock said dropper bottle. So it's really good.
It's a good one, Paul. You got to give it to him.
Yeah, it's a really.
I just jam a paperclip in the end.
It's
normally.
a really utilitarian set of like tools.
I feel like you're trying to scrape as many uses for those as possible. Just to get
scrape is a good word. Yeah,
just to get the extra point.
But no. In all jokes aside, in all seriousness, these are like for value for money, price point wise. I go through packs and packs and packs of these, and they are very, very, very good.
Especially for an airbrush.
It's fantastic. Yeah, for the cleaning. And the thing is, because the nylon on those is so delicate, because it's designed to clean between your teeth, it's not going to affect. Like the one thing, obviously, friction when you're using those more. When they're using the ones that are designed to be used with an airbrush, the nylon on those, I find it to be quite abrasive. And if you've got like plastic seals in the middle of the airbrush, like a lot of Harder and Steenbeck brushes, when you take out the copper bit in the middle using the screwdriver, it has those little those seals in it. When you're using one of those bigger or more rougher nylon things, it can make that hole in that seal perish quite quickly, and all the rubber parts and things. Whereas these will just make they're more delicate on that rubber or on the material that you're contacting the friction with, and it just makes it's a bit more delicate for the airbrush. But they're really good, and unblocking paint pots is also really good with them as well. But yeah, I would recommend you go down your local Boots, Savers, Superdrug, wherever, or any kind of chemist or whatever, and find some of these and get them because they are absolutely mega.
Nice. I like that. I'd say 6.5, only because
that.
not everyone's got an airbrush.
No,
But if
No,
you have
but
got an airbrush, it is a good one.
They might
Yeah.
just be good for. I might just get some for cleaning dropper bottles.
they're great for
They're
cleaning
like,
droppers.
my white dropper bottle. Good grief.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
great.
Can I?
Give that a Bosch.
I've got a hobby hack for that.
Oh,
at the
have
end
you?
of the episode. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You're gonna save it.
I will save it. I will save it.
I'm out of gear.
Paul's got one more, I think.
Well, you know,
Two more.
a couple of little bit of things.
What you got for us? Final ones.
Just really, really fine point tweezers. These are also good for getting blue tack out of places and things like that.
Yeah.
Bit tricky to operate sometimes in between.
Like particularly
fine.
long, those tweezers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, that's why I like them. They get really right in there, you know.
Like a chopstick almost.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you can get right in there, get some bits and pieces and things. Also, just cheap palettes.
Yeah.
But this was for my daughter's watercolor painting set, so I robbed that. Obviously, that kids use them and then they forget about them. But I use this as like a PVA glue palette.
Yeah,
now.
yeah, definitely, yeah.
And whenever I'm doing my
Just
base,
peel it
I
out.
and I could just squirt some glue in there, and then look, I'm not worried about it. Look, each one of these has got filled with different levels of PVA glue in there.
Yeah, but that would just peel out.
Yeah, you just
eventually,
peeve it out. So it never chuck these little daft little things away. I mean, it's only flimsy, but it's great for that sort of stuff. Or varnish.
Yeah,
Pour your
yeah.
varnish in there and mix it with water and stuff. It's all handy little bits.
Yeah.
Yeah, just nice.
And you get them quite cheap as well.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes kids get them on free on comics.
Yeah.
So my daughter's got a couple of free on comics. So they're in my painting pack and all. Thank you.
That's quite good. Then I like what you said about like kind of not using them for paint, but using them for
Yeah,
kind of
well,
Yeah.
I mean,
messy
now I've
stuff.
got the high tech wet palette.
Yeah.
I don't need that sort of thing for paints anymore. So I
Fair.
tend to use them for like the messier jobs and stuff that's going to ruin the
texture
kind of-
paste.
Yeah, texture,
glue,
yeah, all
you
that
know.
sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
fair.
Yeah.
I like it. I'll give you a charitable 4.
Yeah, it's recycling old soot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really? But there you go.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay, some good ones there, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, a mixed bag, but we've got some winners.
That's genius, that is. I've got to say, I've never.
my mate SpongeBob.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never seen anyone use one like that before. That's really clever. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good.
Hopefully the
Just came to me
listeners
in a
have some.
fever dream this one time. So I thought that would-
Hopefully the listeners have some favourites. Let us know in the comments. Maybe suggest your own as well if you've got some like.
yeah, I
Cheap
bet there's
hobby
loads of
recommendations.
stuff out there people are using.
Share the word.
Yeah.
Share the knowledge. As artists, we know how time-consuming painting miniatures is, especially if you want to achieve a high standard for tabletop or display. Life is busy, and we don't all have 8 hours a day to paint. Plus, if you're still early in your painting journey, it may feel that you're a long way off ever owning your own beautiful army for your games. For 10 years, Siege Studios has been delivering bespoke miniature painting commissions to collectors and gamers all over the world. We have a world-class team of artists from Golden Demon winners to ex-studio painters, collating hundreds of years of collective experience. Here at Siege, we offer a series of painting levels and services to meet your needs and budget, whether you want a favourite character for your display or a stunning gaming army. We pride ourselves on offering well above the industry standard of quality and our customer experience. To see our gallery, learn more about our services and get a quote now, head over to siegestudios.co.uk or head to the link in this episode's description. Should we jump over to hobby hacks?
Sure.
Yeah.
You said you got one.
Yeah, for
Well,
paint.
For the listeners. Hobby hacks is, of course, our weekly tradition where we share a hobby hack with you. I feel like we've had a ton in this episode.
Well, yeah.
But, we're keeping the tradition alive, regardless of how many hacks you get. Sometimes-
Regardless of how rubbish they are as well.
Mine is a micro hobby hack
Mm.
related to your hobby hack.
Yeah, he's getting the excuses in
Right.
now.
All right.
Yeah.
James,
Let's grade him on this.
Yeah,
shall we,
it's
James?
our turn. Yeah, let's grade him on
you
the-
had the problem, James had the solution, and I've got the prevention. All right.
Oh, okay.
trifecta.
Dropper bottles get a lot of grief for clogging up. People like James,
He's always saying it. Yeah.
he's always saying, oh no, but they're clogged. Right, okay. Micro hack. Obviously, when you're pouring the paint out, you are inverting the dropper bottle upside down. And then you're flipping it back up. And what do? Within half a second, you're screwing the lid back
No,
on, right?
I normally tap mine twice on the table.
That was the hack.
2 out of 10.
2? It's Sub-Zero, mate. What are you on about?
It's not even
it's
a
colder,
score.
than-
It's
It's
not even on
colder
the
than the
board.
Antarctic.
Nice try. I knew where you was going with this. No, I always tap mine on the table now. And you can see the paint go back into
Yeah, I
the...
know.
The reason they're clogging up is because people are kind of vacuum sealing them together with all the paint around the tip.
I think white, though, is just... you get like a chalky mess. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what you do with white. It's always this chalky, hideous mess around there.
Yeah.
I find that it's always just the ones that I use the most get clogged the quickest, or a lot of paint in the lid.
Yeah, you do get some, bits and pieces. Yeah, a couple of little taps on your table, and it soon disappears back in the pot.
Fair. That's good.
Also, just wipe the top.
It's definitely a minus.
Yeah, it's
3
not
or
even a
4.
hack, is it?
It's not even a hack, no.
It's just
Yeah.
good grief.
Yeah.
Did you have a hobby hack, James?
You were brutal. I'm all out of hacks. I've been hacked.
We've just done a whole show full of hacks.
What do you mean?
Exactly.
I've done enough hacks this year to cut a forest down. What are you on
I
about?
had to bring something. All right.
Like,
Very poor.
yeah.
Okay. Well, turn your dropper bottles upside down. Give them a tap on the
little
desk
tap.
before you put the lid on,
Yeah.
and you might find that it stops clogging. There's someone out there that doesn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Alright.
always someone. Yeah. You don't learn it until someone lets you know. Do you?
What you don't know, what you don't know.
That's
So yeah.
Okay. Well, now I've been absolutely cooked for that. I guess we'll
Rightly
round out
so.
the show there. Massive thank you for listening to this week's episode of Paint Perspective. We're going to jump over now to the post show, which is a benefit for our patrons. So if you want to get more Paint Perspective content in your life, we do an extra 20, 30 minutes over on the Patreon. It's ad free. We have an RSS feed, a whole bunch of other stuff like our tutorials that you've heard about already. Otherwise, we will see you next week.
that transformed our gaming sessions because you could, have a game in one evening. I want to get them done and not to worry too much about the process, and then have perhaps a finished kill team at the end of it. I think it's just as important to learn what you don't like to do as what you do like to do.
That's a really valid point, actually. Yeah, it's a pretty valid point.